would be so surprised what you can do with an ordinary wagon wheel, just like this guy right here. Lighten up our homes with this incredibly Western rustic chandelier is the amazing Ken. I mean, look at that, Ken.
I love it.
You have
only a
outdone yourself.
Canadian says ordinary wagon wheel.
I mean,
I don't know if they're that ordinary to begin with.
Wait, what do you think? I grew up with like wagons around like in
Canada.
Canada? Oh my gosh, we have igloos and we actually, you know, live in. No, this is. But I mean, this is. You see these. You grow up with them. You see them in television shows and all over. Guess what? You can still find these things.
You can. And I was inspired by When Calls the Heart. You know, we're in season 7. Second episode is this weekend.
Exactly right.
And it's a great storyline. I love all the characters, but what I really get into is the decor and the stage
Shocker.
setting and the pieces. Like, look at that.
Ken thinks that's how I grew up. Right
well,
there.
it's Canada, right?
It's true.
The wagon wheels
It's
and all that. It's such a nice feeling. And so being able to bring a little bit of that authenticity and rusticness to a house, I think is great.
I do have extra enthusiasm for this, so maybe there's some truth to what you're saying. I'm super impressed. Okay, let's talk about where you can find these guys. Believe it or not, you can't just walk outside in Canada and find them on the street. But you can find them where?
You can. I ordered these online, but you can also find them at a lot of craft stores. They're having a moment, so you can find them. They're not expensive, and they're the real thing. You want real wood ones, real spindles.
Okay.
But they're sold for decorative purposes.
And for the ones that we're doing today, we want 3 of them, different sizes.
You want 3, but you can make this smaller at home. If you want a smaller 2-tiered one or even a single-tiered, take your pick. I went big, go big or go home. So I got an 18-inch, a 24-inch, and a 36-inch.
Beautiful.
Them sort of graded.
Excellent. All right. And by the way, you see these in stores around, maybe not exactly like this, but this idea, this sort of structure, and they're really expensive, and you're going to make this in your home.
And they're spendy.
Yeah, they can be a little
definitely
spendy. Okay, good. So now we also need some mason jars because that will
Exactly.
function as sort of the crystal of our chandelier.
And very good.
Well,
yes, you're right. It does. It adds that sparkle. It reflects the light.
I love getting that reaction from this guy. That means
so
I've done
much.
something right.
So I'm using the medium-sized, wide-mouth jar here.
Okay.
But you can also, if you're doing a smaller version, use the smaller, or use the really big ones and get pillar candles to put in them. Also fabulous. So again, scale this up and down, folks at home. Scale it up and down to match your space.
And the number of jars that you're going to need, obviously, you're going to calculate how many wheels, and then it's dependent on the spokes in each wheel, right?
One for each spoke. So for every spoke, a jar.
Okay, very good.
Do your math.
Okay, so now we've got to get them onto the wagon wheels themselves, and you use some great kind of rusticy old rope for that. And oh, I see a drill.
And to get that rope into it, what we're going to do is take apart the mason jar, take out your rim and your lid, and you're just going to drill a hole right in the center.
Okay. Very
it's very centered. You know, these are not rough. You want me to hold it? You got it? Straight down. There you go.
There we go.
Very easy. And then you're going to get your rustic rope, as Cameron said, and you're just going to feed that through with a knot at the end. It's going to be that simple.
Okay, easy enough right there. Now, how do we know, obviously, in order for this to look pretty finished and pretty elegant, you want them to be hanging the same distance from the wheel, correct?
And that's a little bit tricky because if you try to do it while you're hanging them, it's not going to work out.
Okay.
So what you're going to do is on each one, after you've done it,
Yeah.
if you want to take this pen for me, this little Sharpie,
You got it.
measure 4 inches up from the lid. Do that on each one, and that's going to be your little guide so that they're all similar. If you do it, and do this after you've knotted and after you get the lid on.
Okay.
Now we're going to come to our spoke. We're going on the left-hand side of each spoke. All we're doing is lining up that line right there.
Yep.
Wrapping the rope around, and then we're going to give.
And I'm standing here ready with this because I see that you've used a staple.
Now you want to do it pretty close to the edge.
I feel a little nervous with your hand there, so let's do the first one first.
Okay, there we go.
First one first. Whoops. There we go.
And then you want to
And
get
this
that
guy right
side.
here, yeah, that you can take your hand away because I'm.
And do one right near the edge too. That's going to keep them from swinging around.
Okay, very good. Just
we're
like
going to do that. Yeah, I already
Excellent.
have this one marked. We're going to do this one too.
more.
Don't put that down yet. There you go.
Beautiful. And again, if someone's holding this for you,
there we go.
have them move their hands. Okay.
Now we're going to do that all the way around and do that on all 3 tiers.
Okay, so now the next step, correct me if I'm wrong, is connecting the wheels together.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we go about doing that?
Flip this baby over, and as you can see, I already have a couple of them attached here. What you want to do is hang it from 4 points, because that's going to give you stability. And all we're going to use a little cup eye. I have it pre-drilled. And you want to measure just to make sure that they're equidistant apart.
And you're actually going to do this on all, let's say you're using 3 wheels. You're going to do it on all 3 wheels because even on the top one, that's how you hang it from the ceiling, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
But what you have to remember is that the middle wheel, you have much stronger hands than I have to use a screwdriver.
Well,
it's all that Canadian
I pre-drilled
maple
my
tree
hole
tapping or whatever it is you do.
This is
I
all
have my
coming
whole
back to
fantasy
Canada.
about Canadians
I
and
guess
what they
so.
do in their spare time.
It still looks like what calls the heart. No, it doesn't. Okay, good. All right. Now, want me to hold this in place
Right.
here?
So now this, let's say this is going to be our top one. What we're going to do is, I've already got the 2 chains.
I'm going to come up a little higher just in case you guys can see what he's doing. So, yeah, come up higher with me a little bit here, everybody.
And there we go. And I'm going to add our other chains right here. Boom, boom, and boom. And now I have a smaller one.
Okay.
This one goes here. I have a smaller one that I already did.
Good.
And all we're going to do
I'm
is
gonna have to move my
attach
hand
that
here.
chain.
Oh, no, I won't. Okay, good.
You do it okay there? Did you
Yeah.
work out your arms today?
No, this is a good shoulder workout for me. I don't mind it at all, actually. So now, I see that you're using just regular kind of chain for this, but you're going to want to pinch those open little links together so that this doesn't come apart. Is that the idea?
Exactly, and you're going to want to get decorative chain that's going to be tinted a color, not just the classic steel, because that's not going to look great.
Look
and
what
again,
we
from
did.
4 points, and the tension is going to hang it and center it on its own. Look how happy you are.
I'm pretty happy, even though my shoulders are burning a little bit. I'm going to put that down for now.
Right. So that's all you do.
okay.
If you were just going to do 2, do the same thing, and then you're going to, at the top of it, put larger screw eye hooks and just run that straight up to the ceiling.
And then we get to work putting these guys in. Now,
Exactly.
inside, we have these little tea lights.
Exactly.
And I was saying to you, I was like, oh man, but every time you want to use this thing, you've got to go over and you've got to manually put on each tea light. And you're like, Cameron.
Well, I think that's because in Canada, you don't have technology. However, in California, you get all the tea lights on, you get your handy light remote control. Favorite thing ever. Presto!
Boom, and you may not be able to see them now, but take a look at this. This
Looks
is an
amazing
evening
at night.
shot. Look how good that looks. Look what I just made with a little bit of Ken's help. I am amazing.
It's all the wagon wheel.
This is really cool, Ken.
I'll put these back on your car later.
Brings me back up. Yeah. What is happening here? Full instructions. You know where to go. HallmarkChannel.com. And of course, make sure to check out new episodes of When Calls the Heart Sundays, 8 p.m., 7 Central, right here on the Hallmark Channel. You can see where I grew up.